With the big telephone company, for caller ID, call blocking, call forwarding, call waiting, and three-way calling, you can end up paying almost $50 a month for all that. But with Rev Voice, you get all those features for free.
Queen's Counsel Fred Smith calls the Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister a danger to democracy. This as Hubert Chipman claims the minister is bullying the courts. The PLP convention postponed again, plus a video of racy carnival costumes goes viral. We've got those stories and a lot more coming up tonight. I'm Kyle Joaquin, and NB12 starts now. Toppling news tonight, Bahamians should be afraid of Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell as he is a danger to democracy. This, according to attorney Fred Smith, QC, who is speaking out in the wake of Mitchell branding two Cuban men a national security risk after their release from prison. Smith, who is the legal representative for the duo, hit out at Mitchell today for poisoning the public's mind with his wild statements and accusing Mitchell of having aspirations to become prime minister. Smith prayed that would never happen. Dana Smith reports.
Bahamians should be terrified of Fred Mitchell. This man has aspirations to be the prime minister. God forbid, please God, never let Fred Mitchell become prime minister. He is a danger to democracy. Please God, and this is a fervent prayer to you, my Lord, do not let Fred Mitchell ever become prime minister. Please make sure he doesn't win his seat in Fox Hill in the next election. Oh God, thank you. I'm serious. The man is a danger to democracy in the Bahamas.
Smith branded Mitchell mischievous and a political disgrace, and he questioned what exactly Mitchell meant when he called the men a national security risk.
So I call on Minister Mitchell to be more respectful of the Supreme Court, not to make accusations of people being national security risks and making all kinds of wild political statements about people, turning people's minds against these two Cubans for what? If they were some kind of risk, or if they have committed an offense, take them before a court of law and deal with them properly. But don't use his political lectern to go around poisoning the public's mind against two perfectly innocent people.
Mitchell said he has ordered an investigation take place into how a court was convinced to free Cubans, Carlos Pupo and Lazaro Marin, who were held in prison without charge for almost 3 years. Justice Stephen Isaacs ordered the men's release last Thursday, but Mitchell said the Immigration Department takes the position that these individuals are a national security risk. Well, Smith launched a scathing attack on Mitchell outside the Supreme Court this morning, claiming that Mitchell has turned the Bahamas upside down with his dictatorial traits, and his clients are terrified of Mitchell's wild and unfounded accusations against them. Smith said Mitchell has no right to investigate the Supreme Court, and he believes Mitchell should be imprisoned for contempt of court.
We will be bringing a motion to the Supreme Court to ask it to commit Mr. Mitchell for contempt of court. He has scandalized the Supreme Court. It is downright abusive and executive excess for Mitchell to be asking for an investigation into how the Supreme Court did or didn't do something. They had their opportunity with their lawyers before the court. He has no business doing that. He is bringing the administration of justice into disrepute. He is scandalizing the court, and he should be put in jail.
Smith also pointed to an article in the Nassau Guardian's National Review, which accused Mitchell of pulling an about-face and changing his position regarding the Cubans. Although Mitchell is now calling the men a national security risk, just 3 months ago, he asked Cabinet to grant the men asylum and release them into the general population. Smith questioned how Mitchell changed his mind, quote, all of a sudden. Smith also said if either of the Cubans has committed an offense, why didn't government make such representations in court, and questioned why did Mitchell wait until afterwards to cover his political backside. The attorney said the minister has become an egotistical maniac who's just trying to ride roughshod over everyone's rights.
Since he got power, he's become an egotistical maniac as a cabinet minister. This man knows no bounds in criticizing people when they don't agree with him. You are not in charge, Fred Mitchell. You are not a law unto yourself. The Bahamas has a constitution and has laws, and thank God we have an independent Supreme Court that doesn't allow you to ride roughshod over everybody's rights in the Bahamas.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
Well, the Free National Movement's Shadow Minister of Immigration, Hubert Chipman, said he agrees with the FNM's chairman in saying that Mitchell is bullying the court system. Simone Davis has that.
In a statement released on Sunday, the FNM chairman said the party is concerned and alarmed about Mitchell's ongoing assault of the judicial system and the impact it could have on the public's confidence in the judiciary. On Friday, Mitchell publicly declared his disregard for a series of recent rulings and even suggested that he would rather investigate than accept the decision of Senior Justice Stephen Isaacs to set the Cubans free. Pintard referred to Mitchell's comments as a display of arrogance, adding that Mitchell's response did not address any of the facts Pintard pointed out in his initial statement.
What Mr. Mitchell did not do is address what I said factually. He sought only to make sure I'm not involved in the discussion. And as you cleared this morning, not only have I expressed concern, but members of every media house has expressed concern about what he has said. And persons in the private sector have expressed concern. They believe that he is potentially doing reputational damage to the Bahamas and opening us up for legal ramifications, because undoubtedly suits will follow and scarce resources that we should be diverting to other initiatives will be spent compensating people because of ill-advised statements and actions by the government.
Mitchell responded to Pintard in another statement last night, declaring that the last time he checked, the opposition spokesman for Foreign Affairs and Immigration was Hubert Chipman. In a statement, Mitchell said he discussed the matters that Pintard is so concerned about with Chipman, and that's who matters. Chipman said he was baffled to read that Mitchell mentioned him in his statement, stating that he can't figure out which conversation Mitchell was referring to, because as far as he's concerned, they've had no discussion on this issue, just a briefing that lasted no longer than 5 minutes.
I intend to speak with Minister Mitchell because we did not have that conversation. I can't really figure out what conversation he's referring to in terms of, well, you know, he spoke with the Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs, Hubert Chipman. I've spoken to Mr. Mitchell on numerous occasions, different occasions and stuff like that. I think the relationship between myself and Minister Mitchell is cordial. I think there's due respect on both sides. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit back and say, entertain, I should say, that I said this or I said that, because I did not say that. In my humble opinion, yes, me and Mr. Mitchell have dialogue in the past, but under these circumstances with the two Cuban immigrants, no, we didn't have that discussion. I was informed as to what was going on. That is my position.
Chipman said he spoke to Mitchell 2 weeks ago outside the House of Assembly, and Mitchell reportedly briefly mentioned that he was seeking asylum in a third country because the two men were no longer welcomed back in Cuba or the United States because of their criminal records. Chipman said that was more of a briefing than a discussion because he did not have any input.
He said the Cuban matter, all right? He said the guys that is in Foxhill prison. He needs to deal with that. All right, I said, yes, they have been up there for quite some time. He said to me, he's looking for a third country. All right, the United States would not take them, and they cannot go back to Cuba. He did not explain to me why the U.S. would not take them. I read in the papers this morning that these guys had a criminal background. That's the first time I'm hearing that.
Chipman also said he doesn't think Mitchell was right to call for an investigation after the men were released, while Pintard accused the Foreign Affairs Minister of committing reputational damage to the country. Pintard said Mitchell's response to him was inappropriate but not unexpected.
I think, as Mr. Chipman has rightly pointed out, that someone of the stature of Mr. Chipman in a sensitive role that he's in, you would expect ongoing real conversations. That is not Mr. Mitchell's way. He is a bully who fortunately he's unable to handle the chafing when it's coming from other persons, and so it's inappropriate, but it's classically him.
Chipman said he intends to reach out to Mitchell about the situation because he's utterly confused on how he got involved. He also said he plans to demand that more dialogue take place between them going forth. And when asked his thoughts on Mitchell referring to the Cubans as a national security risk, Pintard said Mitchell should clarify why he was seeking asylum if they were a national threat. He said it shows a complete flip-flop on his position. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
The Progressive Liberal Party has postponed its national convention to November of this year in order to allow the government time to focus on the gender equality referendum. PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts said he informed the party's council of that decision on Thursday. The convention has already been delayed numerous times since 2013, with the most recent delay following the devastation of Hurricane Joaquin in October and was scheduled to take place in April. However, Roberts said the Prime Minister has recommended that the National Convention be postponed until after the referendum, which, according to the National Security Minister, should be no later than July. Roberts said the convention will either be held at the Malaya Hotel or Bahamas Convention Center. Well, a video showing two scantily dressed women in carnival costumes has caused quite a stir on social media. In the video, the women say their costumes are for Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival, more specifically, the Rhythms Mass Band. The video has already been shared thousands of times in just a matter of hours. And today, the president of that carnival group just said he just wants to set the record straight.
I got people called from New York just asking questions, is it allowed in the Bahamas? Of course, the disclaimer is no. We can't have that costume. The market's not ready for that, and we haven't promoted that as part of Rhythms.
The clip, though only 10 seconds long, went viral in just a few hours.
Come to Bahamas Carnival and jump with Rhythms Band. Jewels in the Summer Sun or Midsummer Night's Dream.
The costumes were produced by Dashinko Sullivan, a Bahamian living in the U.S. and a well-known designer in the international carnival arena. In the video, the women could be heard welcoming viewers to Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival and advertising sections in Rhythms Mass Band. But according to the band's president, the designer didn't necessarily get the green light to record or post that video.
Very controversial, but he acknowledged, and he will acknowledge with an interview also, that he did it. His disclaimer that he only did it to bring awareness to their first. There's a Bahamas Carnival, because he saw it necessary to help promote Bahamas Carnival, and of course to promote his section and promote Rhythms in its entirety. And he's very creative, and he's well known in the carnival world. And so, like he said, his assistant was to promote Carnival. He got 65,000 hits from the video alone yesterday.
Torelli said the designer still has two other sections in their band, Midsummer Night's Dream and Jewels in the Summer Sun, which could all be on the group's Facebook page and website. Our news team reached out to Sullivan. He responded by saying, "I only did the wired bottom as a publicity stunt to get foreigners talking about Bahamas Carnival, which most people didn't even realize existed until now, and also to get people both in Nassau and other countries talking about it." The video has undoubtedly made the rounds online with thousands of shares and reposts. IslandMix.com posted with the caption, #Bahamas Carnival looking to really make some noise with these costumes. I see these bottoms for Brazil Carnival. So the question remains, will we be seeing these costumes shown in the video on the road march come May 7th?
Oh, definitely no, man. His costumes, which will still be part of Rhythms, but of course he'll have the traditional bikini for the females and the boy shorts. But those pieces will just cover the private area, which is very controversial. I'm sure the whole Bahamas will see the video shortly. Will not be in the Bahamas. This part of his costume, this is the headpiece for the female, and then of course that's the headpiece for the male over there. And of course, like I said, traditional boy shorts and bikini will go along with this, not the piece that you see in the video.
This latest round of controversy comes just as marketing heats up internationally for Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival. The Ministry of Tourism was in Washington, D.C. this past weekend promoting the event. In the months leading up to the inaugural Junkanoo Carnival last year, the Christian Council called out the government and organizers on what they described as skimpy costumes. The council even said Carnival promotes promiscuity and incest. But as Carnival bands begin revealing their costume packages, Torelli insists the controversial female wired bottoms will not be in the Bahamas, at least not with Rhythms.